imagine all life as you know it stopping instantaneously and every molecule in your body exploding at the speed of light.
Total protonic reversal.
Protonic reversal.
Protonic reversal with your host, Conan Neutron. Broadcasting from a secret underground lair in Milwaukee, Wisconsin.
A gigantic middle finger to everything that is rock about music, rock and roll, and corporate power.
The thing is, though, if you don't laugh, you're going to go on a killing spree with sharpened nails.
Confidence of a hero or a fool. I wasn't exactly certain which.
Could not be more professional.
It's only one I choose to devote my life to. That's okay.
It means something. It means something.
And take that away.
You know, that's my take on it. What's yours?
Protonic Reversal!
That's like a science thing, right?
Indeed. It is a science thing. It is a science place. It is a scientific fact. We are all up in your face. It is time for the one, the only Protonic Reversal. Welcome to it. Now, there's a holiday edition. Holiday and quarantine edition of Protonic Reversal. Eddie Rivas from Distorted Pony, as well as the much underappreciated Leopold, both underappreciated bands actually, if you stop and think about it, is going to be joining me. It's going to be great. Looking forward to talking to that guy. We're going to have Protonics every day this week. Yeah, pretty close to every day this week. So yeah, let's celebrate the Protonic. I don't even know what I'm saying anymore, but you get it. You know what's going on. So, hey, Eddie's awesome. Looking forward to talking to him. Just want to give a shout out to everyone for supporting the show against patreon.com/Protonic Reversal, $1 a month for advance episodes. That's come to be something that people seem to be digging, vibing with, if you will. And that's good. Kind of helps get the show, I don't know, professional's the wrong word. But it helps the show along, and I like that, and I like that I like that you like that. You, the listener, likes that. So there's going to be a lot more Protonics coming for the end of the year, including the much anticipated Best of 2020 Records special. That's not the name of it, but it's the top records of 2020. And a few people have asked. Some people pay close attention to the playlist. Some people listen to the episode. Whatever. But that's coming, and that's gonna be Christmas Eve for those that celebrate that. And of course, next episode is gonna be Brian Teasley from Man or Astro Man and the rock band The Tunnel coming up on Saturday. So anyway, fantastic. Looking forward to all of that. Thanks, folks, for sharing the show around. It actually helps people find it. If you like the show, consider rating and reviewing it on iTunes, any of that kind of thing. It may seem like a small thing. It is not. It is a big thing, in fact. And let's hear some Distorted Pony, and then we'll come back and talk to Eddie about Distorted Pony and Leopold and being an engineer and all that good stuff. Cool.
are we streaming live? Cool.
Okay, that was Gutbug by Distorted Pony, and before that was HOD. It's HOD, right? Like if it's or is it HOD? Is that I don't know what a HOD would be.
It's I think the story behind that title is they took the idea, I think maybe the drum beat or something from a Head of David song.
Oh, how funny! Head of David. I haven't.
Yeah.
I haven't thought of that band in a long time. Good gosh. And of course, that's Distorted Pony. So we had a Distorted Pony rock block. And Eddie, welcome to the show, man. This is awesome.
Thank you, Conan.
Been this for a while. It's been,
no, thank you. I enjoy the show, and it's really great to be invited to be on it. Lots of cool people that you've had on. So thank you.
Well, you're self-inclusive now. So you're counted amongst their numbers. Yes.
Cool.
So you've basically been in Distorted Pony for about 10 years at this point. Is that accurate? Like,
yeah.
How do you measure that time?
Well, I've been in the band, but I've maybe only done maybe 30 shows, something like that, because
because it's been like large amounts of activity,
exactly,
and large breaks of time too.
Exactly. Yes. Mm-hmm. Because we started playing again, 2000, late 2009, early 2010, and then did shows during that time in the summer, and then we didn't really play for 8 years till 2018 when we got asked to go to Europe. We'd been trying. Every year we would get offers to play festivals, but they just wouldn't line up enough.
Right. It's logistically very difficult to pull off,
and also financially. I mean, we'd get some good offers, but then we'd get like can you come to play my town and we can pay you 100 euros and sleep at my friend's house? It's like,
you can go play my garage.
Yeah, exactly. So we appreciate it, but it just,
so it wasn't to play your garage if it was like remotely feasible and we wouldn't lose our asses on it. Sure, sir.
Yeah. I mean, it's really cool that people reach out with whatever, but to fly 5 people to Europe and, expenses and everything for whatever, at 2 weeks or whatnot, it's quite a bit of money.
But that's fantastic. Is that something? Had you ever played Europe before that?
No. So when the band broke up, they put the record out right after the last record, Instant Winner, and then I think being on trance, some opportunities would have opened up for them to go to Europe, and that was kind of the I think something they'd been thinking about doing while they were active. And then I think it also became one of the reasons why the original members decided to give it a shot, because I remember talking to them and it was sort of like, we want to try and go to Europe,
Yeah. It's a laudable goal. I've never made it.
Yeah. I mean, I'd been to Europe a couple times, but not on tour. So it was one of those things that just kind of got thrown in our laps. I think Manuel, I think his last name was Vianelli. I hope I'm saying it right. He had, I think. Who
does the Damaged Goods group and.
It's the noise rock group and
like noise rock aficionado, basically.
Yeah. So he contacted us, and apparently, had I don't remember which band kind of had a tour already. He had already sort of started booking the tour for them, but then they backed out of the tour, and he was like, well, let me see if I can get another band. So he asked us, and we were like, yeah, if you can make it happen, we can make the time. Everybody's, we're all in our 40s or 50s now, so kids and all that. Not me, but 3 or the other members have kids.
Well, maybe not you specifically, but those are a concern for the logistics of doing the band, for sure.
Exactly. Yeah. So we had to do it at a time when everybody could sort of plan it with enough time to ask for vacation time from work and make sure all the logistics would come. So it came back, but it happened really fast. Like I remember it was maybe December or January when Ted called me and said, hey, we might be going to Europe, can you do it?
Right.
And I said, well, sure. I mean, I was a full-time teacher. Now I'm a substitute teacher, so my summers are off anyway.
Right, exactly, which is sort of
out.
Like there's a small, I feel like if there's not, there should be a small club of people that are like rock and rollers who are also teachers. Because I've met so many of them, because it actually just is a career that is conducive to that. And for whatever reason, in some ways, and for whatever reason, I think people they get what I'm thinking about, even folks like Steve Von Till. Too, right?
Mm-hmm. Like, he's a kindergarten teacher, right?
Which is wild, right? Like having that dude be your kindergarten teacher, like hell yeah, that's awesome. What are those kids like? But it's something where I think when you come from like a punk rock background of kind of making something out of nothing, that unfortunately the how we treat our educational system in this country is shameful, but the resourcefulness of punk rock, I think, comes in handy, is where I'm going with that, which is less of a question, more of a statement.
Yeah, well, and I agree. I think some of those ideas of working with whatever's in front of you, and you have a goal, so you look for the resources available to attain that goal. And in teaching, it is very much like that. The resources are limited, but no matter what they throw at us, and this is, I think, one of the things they know, the district knows, the government, right? They know if we have to do something one way or another, we'll figure out how to do it, even if they don't give us any money or resources to do it. But somehow we still do it.
Tenacity of the cockroach style.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, one way or another, right? Especially if funding is attached to it, right? You got to do it. And I mean, we've calculated the minutes once of the mandated programs that a teacher is supposed to do, and there's more minutes that are mandated than minutes in the teaching day. It's ridiculous.
God,
so it's one of those.
That's so obnoxious.
Yeah. Exactly.
That's so annoying,
very much like what you're saying. Yeah, you figure out how to do it.
Well, and I didn't mean to sidebar you there when you're telling a very interesting rock and roll story, but one of the things that people have told me that they like about the show is kind of hearing like the all-in parts of who a person is, not just the rock and roll debauchery necessarily, which is
which I don't partake of.
I was gonna say, that's why I bring it up. Which is always
I drink a lot of coffee on tour. Okay, that's
Oh man,
yeah.
He got the flaming hot chips. Oh, what a rebel.
Oh yeah, on tour those are, I'm sure.
Well, I think you left some kind of chips in the Airbnb in No Coast. I can't remember what kind.
You're right, jalapeno chips. I did
jalapeno chips. Yeah, that's what it was. Yeah.
Miss Vicky's jalapeno. Trisha and I love those chips.
And then they came with us back down to Austin, and then all the way back up into back to Milwaukee before I remember they were in the van. I was like,
I'm glad
probably
they
stale
were.
At this point.
Yeah, I'm glad that somebody got it. Yeah,
but they got to travel before they died, which some of us don't get to do that. So
there you go. Yeah. Oh, that's right. I forgot about that.
Yeah. So. So you the Sword of Pony gets the offer to go to Europe. It's logistically feasible. Something. I mean, the Sword of Pony is a band that is known to those who know, but not really like household name style. And by household name, I don't even mean like Big Black or Meldon's Big. Like it's sort of like record nerds are like into Distorted Pony, and like people that are either were around that scene at that time, or just seek out that style of music. So that's kind of like I don't want to say dicey proposition, but I suppose there's a little bit of risk involved with that.
I guess to to the first part of that is, yeah, I mean, Distorted Pony. I always say, this is the way I put it. I remember Fugazi coming to LA and they could sell out, 3 nights at the Palace or 2 or 3 nights at the Palladium. But good luck getting those people to go see a local band. It was like, it would always just like, where are all you people when, and I mean, granted, LA's got that
400 blows or somebody's playing.
Yeah,
Well,
well,
eventually they got it. But.
Well, that was like 10 years later or whatever. But yeah, I mean, like, so the bands, Sandy Duncan's Eye, Distorted Pony, Oiler, Slug, those, Babyland, those are the bands that I was kind of going out to see and supporting all the time, a lot more.
Of course, yeah.
But I would always, I'd go see Distorted Pony at, a club, and there'd be maybe, I mean, sometimes there were 10 people, sometimes there was maybe 40 or 50 people, but like I said, I mean, good luck. I mean, you had to put on a really stacked bill in LA, I think, to get those bands to, like to even, sell out a place like, I don't know, the Anti-Club or the Troubadour, Whiskey, those kind of places.
Right.
But thank God for like Jabberjaw that was around and would, attach those bands to the opening slot when, someone like the Melvins or the Jesus Lizard would come to town.
Yeah.
Like that,
Well, and it seems like that's such a common thing with anyone talking about LA around that time. It was like, if it wasn't for Jabberjaw, basically none of this, you wouldn't have heard any of these bands.
Yeah, especially, I mean, I'm about 5, depending on, which person, I'm 5 to 10 years younger than everybody else in the band. So I was lucky that when I was 18, I got to see them and saw them almost, every time I could until they broke up in '93. So, and the first time, I mean, I always relate, like the first time I saw Distorted Pony was at Jabberjaw. And I remember I intentionally stood by David's side of the stage because he had a Soldano amp. And I always wanted to hear what those sound. I had already been playing guitar for maybe 4 or 5 years. And I remember
very distinctive sound to them for the non-amp heads in the audience.
Exactly. And it has a lot of gain and distortion, but the harmonics are really bright. So it cuts through, even though it's got a very aggressive tone. So I remember standing there and going like, one day I'm going to get one of those amps.
Oh, really? So
and
that's what motivated you to... Yeah. And we had like maybe 2 nickels to run together. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. That was my first, when I became a teacher, my Christmas present to myself was a Soldano amp. I never thought I'd be playing it in Distorted Pony, but I remember hearing that. I'm going, I want one of those,
Yeah. Like it caught your ear and kind of became an important part of what you would think of when you're thinking of what you want to do with guitar. Now, so that's interesting, and I don't want to jump around that much, but I think it is fascinating to me that you came at Distorted Pony from being a fan first, like being like having seen them like in their original ish iteration and playing and doing their thing and doing their Distorted Pony thing, and they're not being like probably the thought at the time like, hey, I'm going to be playing in this band someday.
No, not at all. In fact, I had put together my band a few years after. I had tried to put together bands during that time, but they just wouldn't sustain themselves or whatever, break up and everything, in hopes of playing with like those bands I mentioned, like Slug and Distorted Pony, Sandy Duncan. But then it took another 3 years before the band I was in, Leopold, started regularly playing. And then by that time, all those bands that I wanted to really play with had broken up. But as a fan, I mean, for when and there's actually, for people that want to read details, there is a blog I started when I joined the band.
I was just going to mention that.
Yeah.
But I couldn't remember the blog name, so I was going to look it up.
Yeah, it's like distortedpony.blogspot.com. And there I talk about like joining the band. And yeah, I mean, they're like, Distorted Pony is like one of my top, 5 favorite bands. So to be playing with them and friends with them is, I mean, I compare it to like Rollins getting to be in Black Flag or Mingus playing with Duke Ellington. I never would have. They're the band when I wanted to like learn songs or whatever, I would pull out a Distorted Pony record and learn a song,
And I relatively prescient, I guess.
Yeah, well, eventually. But and I'm very close friends with them, especially like Trisha and I, we talk all the time and everything. And everybody's in LA except David. He's in Austin. And that's what makes the band hard to do stuff because it's just logistically very difficult. Yeah.
Appreciate the blog as well, because it's very rare that you see someone in that sort of situation you're in, where they're coming at something from a place of a fan, but they have their own, you know, for lack of a better term, career, their own their own world they built around themselves. They aren't necessarily like, you know, a young kid or something, but they get the chance to do what they do and bring it into this previously existing entity that they already were, you know, had a relationship with in another way. And I thought it was really cool that you kind of, not forensically exactly, but kind of broke down what all that meant, and kind of having like, you know, how you wanted to approach certain songs, like what things you were looking for. Just it's you don't usually see that kind of thing, and I found that really fascinating that you chose to do it in that way, and I'm really glad you did too.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I mean, I remember just
so there used to be these things called blogs.
Yeah, there used to be these things called blogs. Yeah, it's basically like, yeah, just like as a diary and something to, I thought, you know, me being a fan, I figured other fans would appreciate it, you know.
Sure.
And the thing about like what, as much as like Distorted Pony is not like you're saying like a household term, the fans of Distorted Pony are really love the band, you know.
The people that they mean something to, it means a lot to them.
Yeah, yeah. We really, I mean, in Europe, that really was very evident. I mean, I share this story with like, we played a really great club that has since closed down due to, you know, the Rona.
The troubles.
The troubles, yeah. Called Mondo Bizarro in France. And after the show, it was a small club, like an Al's Bar, CBGB's kind of, you know, tight club but packed with people. Everybody was really cool before we played. When we played, there's video footage too of that show on YouTube. I think people have uploaded. But after the show, I was all sweaty and it was really hot in there. So I walked outside and I was just kind of, you know, getting some air and stuff. And this guy comes up to me with tears in his eyes and he puts his hand on my shoulder and he says, "I've waited 25 years to see your band." And he's like tearing up telling me that.
That's
and
awesome.
Just like, I know that I had to call like my friend back here in LA because I was just like, you won't believe, because it was just really, I mean, to see I've never had anybody, I mean, I've had people say, "Hey, I like your band."
Call your music teacher that said you never do anything with your life, you know,
call everyone. Right and thaw.
Told you.
Yeah. No, but it was really, and I mean, I shared it with everybody in the band. I think he went around after and found everybody and thanked everybody in the band.
That's awesome.
For
I love that.
And so, yeah, I mean, I remember seeing, like, I never thought I'd see like the Stooges, but getting to see the Stooges, you know, with Watt, it was just like, I remember, you know, I know that feeling of, I never thought I would see this band and there they are in front of you, you know.
I miss seeing, even though I love them, for whatever reason, I was just like, I don't know, like a year too late to Drive Like Jehu, and I never saw them the first time around. And when they got back together, the very first time, and when they got back together, they played the San Diego, that open amphitheater with like the organ and everything, and just to be in that place with, you know, a couple thousand other people being like, what is going to happen right now?
Yeah,
like we're all here to see this like kind of like niche band that we all love and means so much to us. And then when for the first notes they were playing, I was just like, yeah. And I've since seen them a couple times, and I would say the other times I saw them, they were better because they were just more well rehearsed. They had, you know, had been a band again for a longer period of time. But there's something so special about just having the anticipation of like, I've waited, you know, 15 years to like see this band play, and I never thought it would actually happen, and here we are.
Yeah. I mean,
anyway, that's a story about how I saw Drive Like Jehu. But it's
thank you for sharing.
that anticipation of just like, oh my God, I can't believe this is happening. That's such a.
I mean, I'll be honest. I first, you know, my friend Anthony, he plays in a band, Francoso, called Geronimo. He called me and he was like, "Hey, Distorted Pony just posted something on Facebook about playing." And I wasn't in the band at that moment. That was in 2000, like I said, late 2009.
Right.
And I was just really excited, like, holy crap.
So that would have been like MySpace or something then. At
yeah,
that point, right?
the Distorted Pony MySpace is still like there.
Who knew that was going to be better than what would come after it, right? Because at the time we were like, oh, this sucks so bad. It's so dumb.
Well, and it's just, you look at it now and it's pitiful. I went on there, you know, a while back, and it's just like, oh my God, it looks like a ghost town. Like if there was a virtual version of a ghost town, that's it. It's just
the ghost town of the internet.
One picture pops up here and there, and it's like, oh wow, this is really sad. but so I was excited to hear that they were going to do shows and everything. But I had a hunch that Robert wouldn't be interested in it, and so I told them, hey, whatever you guys need, if you guys need a place to, like, I have the recording studio, you guys can rehearse there. You guys can, Dave, because I play Soldano, I figured, well, David would be coming to town. So I said, if you need to borrow my amp or whatever you guys need.
Got the right amp for you, yeah.
Yeah, let me know. And so, and then I said, and if Robert isn't interested in playing, I'd like to throw my hat into the running to play guitar if you guys, and Ted, I think had said, yeah, your name came up, and we're talking about it. So it was cool. It was, if you read the blog, it took them like, I think, a month to get back to me. So I was really like, I guess maybe it's not going to be me. But when I finally got in there, yeah, it's and it's been really fun. I really love them as people, and we're very close. And
well, and I guess that's something that I found kind of interesting about the blog, is that you have that kind of, uncertainty and if not lack of like just knowing the full picture of like, what is this going to be? Is this going to be a thing? Like, what's just, you don't see that level of candor coming from someone that has such a deep understanding of the music and a deep love of the music. And then also in this way that like, yeah, but this isn't going to be like arenas either. Like,
no, of course not. No, but the other thing I thought is, well, shit, maybe I'll get Leopold back together and we'll do some shows with them. I mean, that was my other thinking in the back of my head, or at least, I don't know, help, do merch or something, whatever to, just to enable whatever they were gonna
get the trainer rolling for whatever.
Just help out in whatever way.
Yeah.
I still do all those things anyway. I still help with merch. We, the shirt, everything. Like, so I really tried to like pull my weight in the band and facilitate whatever. We just, like I was telling you, we have the album coming out, the live bootleg thing, and I was the one that got all the artwork together and got the kind of pre-mastering done, and was the go-between between us and but I like doing those things. I mean, I like being, involved with the kind of little projects that come about with the band, So, so yeah, again, I enjoy that interaction with everybody.
Of course. Well, yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's again, you're coming at from perspective of wanting to have them be their best. Right?
Yeah.
I mean, that really, and whatever that means. So
yeah, and
that's.
And I think one of the most rewarding things, I guess, is that, especially after in Europe, was seeing them play to audiences that were very much there to see Distorted Pony. Like,
that knew the music, that they meant something to them.
Yeah,
right?
totally. Usually, I mean, you've played in bands. You get to play with one of your favorite bands or whatever, and the people will clap and good show. But to have people like screaming and like clapping and going apeshit when they hear the intro of a song. Things like
and
that.
Have it just like, oh my God.
Yeah. That, I mean,
not to go back to my Jehu story, but when they started playing the beginning chords of Luau, it's like you got to hear like a couple thousand people in a park go at the same time. It was like, and it's like, it is something that's very hard to describe if you haven't seen it. And maybe that happens for bigger bands. I don't know, but I don't think it connects in the same way. I think it's like kind of way you get like a hardcore fan. Mm-hmm. It's waited a really long time to hear a thing, and that's what you get.
Yeah, well, like I said, that guy coming up to me, 25 years was his that he was on hold, I guess. Waiting. I guess he can die happy now or whatever. His die happy moment.
Exactly.
Right?
Check.
Check that. Okay, we're good. Yeah.
Well, and there was like a 7-inch that came out for that tour, right? I mean, there was like more than just like, hey, we're going to go play some shows.
What happened was, before the tour, or once people kind of got word of the tour, we got asked, a label hit us up about reissuing some things. In fact, Punishment Room was maybe going to get a remaster, but Bomp still has plenty of those. So people shouldn't be paying $50. Just go to the Bomp website; they have copies.
Right. Yeah. That's.
I you guys know out there.
On that, my sister-in-law's husband wanted a copy of Get in the Van. It was like, oh, but it's like
Oh,
$200 or something. I'm like, have you gone to Henry Rollins' website?
Yeah, exactly.
Because it's not $200. But then I looked, and
yeah.
sure enough, if you look at it, it's like, oh, out of print. And I'm like,
Oh, wow.
fucking is. No, it's
Yeah.
not. just go
Okay.
to the publisher.
Yeah. Well, yeah. So
Sorry. Anyway,
no,
that's
no,
about
no.
Henry
But
Rollins'
no,
book. But in
yeah,
the same way of like, if you want that record, you shouldn't have to pay extortionist prices for it.
exactly.
So that was the mindset there.
Punishment Room. So Punishment Room is still available. Instant Winter had been out of print since, I don't know, whenever they sold out of that. So that did get a reissue by a label, I think in Poland, Antenna Kretsky something. I'm sorry, my Polish isn't so great, but so they reissued that. And then for us to sell on tour, the label that myself and my friend Anthony that I mentioned earlier, we, Total Annihilation, who put out Slee Stack, 400 Blows first album, Amps for Christ, my band Leopold. It was just
I was gonna say all the bands that we played with when we went down there. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So so I called them up and I was like, hey, what if we remaster and reissue the first Distorted Pony 7-inch? I think it's the Angel on a Hog, Concrete Bruises, and I forget what the other song is on there. And I think Peace of Mind? I think Peace of Mind did the original pressing. So then we had it remastered and repressed, and we tried to make it really like new photo on the front from the same photo shoot, but different picture. We did white vinyl, a nice sleeve, and included a sticker, and just to kind of sell on tour. And just my friends in Spain. Sorry, you're cutting out, Conan.
Oh, I said just make it fun, make it like worth people's while.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So then my friends in Spain, they have a label called Beauty Fool Records, and they were like, so what's this thing you're going to be doing with the 7-inch? And they were like, well, can we help you with that? I was like, yeah, of course. So they helped, with the expenses, and they were kind of the people that, sold it in Europe. They're located in Barcelona, but and we were actually, it was the first release that they put out. So it was kind of cool. They were really excited. Yeah. So they helped us put out that 7-inch. Yeah, I think we did about 300 of those. And what else did we put out? So those were those two things got re-released. Yeah, so now people, can at least find those, because it's ridiculous how expensive some of that stuff goes for.
Well, and that's something that's interesting about I guess we call it the third wave of noise rock or whatever, but like people discovering these older bands, and then oftentimes, you just can't get the records. And if you want a record, you're gonna have to pay some exorbitant price for it. So, but it's still, you have to weigh cost and benefit, right? How many are we going to make versus how many are we going to sell?
Yeah.
Nobody wants to nobody wants to put out, some lavish release that just sits in your garage for forever.
Yeah, I got about 400 Leopold CDs if anybody's interested in my garage. So,
jazz records for sale. Yeah, exactly.
So, yeah, I mean, that always happens. I mean, but at the time, like I said, we kind of knew.
At least CDs are smaller. Vinyl's even worse because it takes up more room. Sorry,
but we figured we'd probably sell about, we did what, 20? Let me think here. 16 shows, I think, or 14 shows in 16 days. I want to say 14. So we figured we'd sell anywhere between 5 and 10 per show. So we kept 150 that we took on tour, and then the other 150 Beautiful Records, they still have some, I'm sure, but that's how we calculated how many to press up, because we didn't want to have to pay to bring them back and haul them, all that stuff. Yeah,
I mean, again, this is the sexy stuff about being in a band. That's expensive.
Yeah, those logistics when you get to the airport and they're like, you're overweight by 5 pounds. Like, oh shit,
Yeah, exactly. And you're like, oh God, what's got to go? How much do my clothes weigh?
Yeah, exactly. Well, what we started doing is getting the merch bag and like, or the merch case and like taking stuff like, okay, here's 10 shirts for you. Here's 10 shirts.
Totally. Yeah.
Yeah. Those are the like you're saying, the glamorous things about touring, especially like having to go on take a plane where you're like, oh, this is going to cost us another $60 just to send these over,
Do you check the guitar?
I have a story for you.
Good.
On the way there, they gate checked it was fine. On the way back from Europe, so I took my, Travis Bean and a jazz master. Trisha took her Rickenbacker. David took his. He's got like a custom mutant guitar, and they were missing for about 3 days.
Holy.
That was now. Luckily, I do have that insured because I got tour insurance. But I was just like, oh my god. So they were like, it's in the system. We don't know where. And then it took them 3 days, to find it and get our guitars back to us. But yeah, I was sweating it for 3 days, not knowing where my damn guitar was.
I've heard lots of horror stories about that.
Yeah.
And pretty much for me, once I switched to an EDC, I was like, fine, you can just check this. That's fine.
Yeah.
And like and then again, and because I got a hard shell case, it's like great. Put some T-shirts in it. Put some, a couple CDs. Like what else we got? I can fit a bunch of stuff in here. But I've heard so many horror stories, especially from folks gate checking instruments. And it's
I hear.
But what can you do?
Exactly.
Like, sit in your lap.
Well, but then you tell them like, this like, can I take it to like some airlines are cool where they'll let you carry it with you all the way up to the door and then they put it in the closet or then they'll take it underneath. But
it's totally dependent on who you get though. That's the thing.
And if they're cool with you or not, right? And so it is a very nerve-wracking thing for them to say, well, your instruments haven't arrived yet, but they're in the system. Okay, great.
Good. As long as you're in the system, yeah.
Yeah, as long as they're in the system, we'll be fine.
Well, and that's the thing is, so you find, at least with American Airlines, not American, the company, but like airlines based in America, there's also just rampant ignorance of the actual rules behind checking instruments for whatever reason. Like it's the one thing of like, how do you not know? How am I more informed about this than you are?
Yeah.
You work here.
Mm-hmm.
Like, do you want me to cite you the regulations so you can look at it? And then there's and then it's basically like, that's where, they don't have to follow that if they don't really feel like it. You have to make like a big stink about it. And then you're like, are you nice about it? Like, is it sugar?
And what are you going to do? You're trying to get home. What are you going to call an attorney to come to the airport and get in a lawsuit? I mean, you're at their mercy. What are you going to do? Then I don't go home. I mean, so you're at the, and for the most part, I mean, airline people, I'm sure, and you see more and more they deal with madness, but it was pretty scary to have somebody tell you like, your guitars are missing.
Well, especially because like if one of them's custom and like one of them's and again, Travis Bean too, and that isn't a Travis Bean Designs. You have an original one. Like those are like
I have two now, or I've had two for years. And the thing is, though, it's like, what I do? I was like, this is the guitar I've been playing since 1997. Of course, I'm going to take it with me. But I did, like I said, the one thing is I did get it insured. Like I got tour insurance for my guitars. So I knew, well, okay, worst comes to worst, maybe I'll get an EGC if it's.
I was gonna say, have Kevin make you a Travis Bean.
I'll call Kevin up and go, hey, okay, this is missing, but I got money to get another one.
I am now a folklore tale that will be told to other poor musicians trying to travel.
There you go. Yeah. But like I said, the option is, well, don't take it with me, but the whole point to have an instrument now, but here's the thing. When I got that guitar, it was like $700. It's just insane how expensive they are now. I never thought of it as like, I'm going to get this collectible guitar. I just thought I'm going to get a guitar that I've heard all these other people play and all those bands there and those guitars sound really cool. So I want a guitar that can do all that stuff. And it seems like that Travis Bean thing is the one that can do all that stuff. So that's how I looked at it. And so I never bought it in the sense of like, someday this is going to be a collectible vintage guitar. It was just like an instrument that I thought would be a good tool to play, because I could hear how other people, in Six Finger Satellite, the Jesus Lizard,
you like the sound of it. You wanted the sound,
and the fact it could make all those different sounds and still sound really good and unique to those players. I thought, okay, and it does. I mean, I get a really distorted sound, but it's very cutting and it's not muddy. It did exactly what I hoped it would do. but it's just in the last, I don't know, with 10, 15 years, the price of those has shot up insane. I mean, like I said, I have another one I got that's more beat up, a standard for $400. You know, about a year later after I got the artist, and again, it was just, well, here's another one for $400. Cool, you know, now I have another one. But I never thought they'd be going for the money they're going for now.
The cult of the aluminum neck instrument crowd has definitely grown almost exponentially since then. And I'm foolish enough that I had similar opportunities to like pick up, you know, what would have been like, oh my God, like you could like sell that and buy a, you know, put down payment on a house at this point, you know. And I just was like, I'm not going to spend that much money on a guitar. Fuck that.
I'll tell you, I remember when I was looking for one, I called I live in LA, so I called the shops in Hollywood, and I remember calling one guy and going, hey, do you guys have any Travis Beans? And he was like, Travis Bean, you want a Jackson, man? I got plenty of Jack. I got some. I was just like, oh,
that's the wrong kind of metal, sir.
Yeah, I was just like, nah, it's all right, you know. So nobody even wanted those things, you know.
Well, just like you know, before Kurt Cobain, you know, like you couldn't give away like Jaguars and Mustangs, and then suddenly like you know, they're putting out like $2,000 collector's editions and stuff like that.
Yeah. No, same thing with the pedals, like big muffs and you know, super fuzz. Like, you know, those things were not, you know, these holy grails of sound, you know.
Well, and that's, you see, you bring up an important point with the gear is that, like, you know, you are, you know, not to the point of paralysis, but a bit of a gearhead. Like it seems like when you're approaching this position within Distorted Pony, you gave a lot of thought to the gear and to what you're going to be using to make the sounds. And it isn't like you're just going to plug into any old amp, you know, here's a solid state crate. Okay, plug it in, let's go, you know.
Yeah. Well, the way I looked at it was I knew I couldn't exactly replicate what Robert does, because first of all, he played a Strat with like a dual humbucker, mini humbucker in there, a Music Man amp, and he used some kind of process like a DoD GSP something rack mount thing, and I was like, I'm not, you know, gonna replicate that, but I knew, like, so you know, but I knew I was familiar enough with his style and what he was doing, and like I said, you know, I would every so often learn their songs and, you know, analyze what's going on. So and also hearing them live, you know, all those times when they were around I knew like what his role was. I mean, sometimes he was, I gotta say, he was like so loud. He'd be louder than anyone else in the band because he was just making noise. Yeah. And so, yeah, I remember sometimes he'd just be so loud. He played a Music Man, like an HR 120, I think is the model. And yeah, it just,
I know it well.
Yeah, I mean, they're pretty, because I think it's a solid state power section and tube.
That's right? The not in Replicator, but afterwards I played that. And then the nice thing about that is if you want to play at non-ear blasting levels, you can move it to a half power, and it's like a strong 60.
I think he modified it to move it to twice the power then, because
they get
really loud,
preposterously loud.
Yeah,
I mean, and they sound great, but
my amp is not like that. But his main distortion was a rat pedal, so I knew that much. So when we went on tour to Europe, I knew, okay, if I take a rat pedal, I'm almost there. And then I played out of a Marshall JMP reissue, I think. So, you know, I've you know, can do the stuff that he would do. And then for delays and reverb, I use a Earthquaker Devices Avalanche Run, because that has both in one pedal. So I kind of know the settings for the songs where he would use effects and kind of how to replicate that with one pedal as opposed to a rack, you know?
Well, yeah, and I like that you kind of approached it almost like scientist style of like not an exact recreation, but what can I do to, you know, get the spirit of this in like a cool and interesting way that would, you know, work with this modern gear and have the least amount of surprises, maybe. Unpleasant surprises.
Yeah, and especially because, you know, we had to fly over there, so I knew I had to take a pretty limit. I mean, I don't play a lot of pedals anyway, but I knew I had to kind of a small pedal board. And the main thing was, like I said, the Avalanche Run. I use what's that Boss FZ2, the Hyper Fuzz for noise, that's mainly, what's the other thing? I guess that a gate, noise suppressor, and the tuner. So it's a pretty
The
minimal
ubiquitous
setup.
TU too.
Yeah, thank God for those. Those are great.
I feel like you could hit those with a shotgun and they'd still be operational. I mean,
Yeah.
it's one of the first pedals I've ever bought, and it's after 20 plus years of hard touring, it looks like hell, but it still does exactly what
they
it's meant to
work
do
great.
perfectly. Yeah, it's stunning.
Yeah, and I also use it as a kill switch. It has that feature where you can. So yeah, I try not to like in when I played in Leopold, I'm much more like a kind of, wouldn't call it lead guitar player, but only guitar player. So I would have to play more melodic lines and stuff, whatever riffs. But in the Sword Pony, I remember talking to David about this, and he always looked at it as like Trisha's the double bass, I'm the cello, and he's the violin. So I very much
interesting.
Know the space.
Okay.
Yeah, that's when he writes. That's how he always looked at things. So I very much knew like where I'm supposed to fit in this equation. So
interesting. Yeah, because that is kind of when you're entering a relationship of playing with people, there is that sort of like feeling out of like, well, if I go over here, that kind of like steps on what you're doing a little bit. Is that cool? Is that not cool? Like it's kind of it can be interesting to not, if you don't have that mapped out ahead of time, you can end up in some interesting spots, to say the least.
Well, yeah, but I mean, I very much try not to, get like even before. So we just played, with you guys in February, back in the, like you said, before the Troubles.
Before the Troubles, and one of the last, I think we played two more shows after that, and then it was
we had
tour dates canceled.
Planned. Yeah, we had three more shows planned for like May, June, and all that's gone. But
I believe I went on a taco run during one of the bands, and I would not have done that if I had known that was going to be one of the last shows I get to see.
Yeah.
Because I was like, oh, whatever, we're playing with them again, and not you guys, but like whatever.
Yeah,
band I was like, oh, we're playing with them again in March. I'll just see them then.
Yeah.
And to be fair, I really wanted tacos.
Yeah.
So.
There you go. There you go. But yeah, I mean, who would have guessed? But what was I gonna say? So even though we had played sometime before, even the weekend before, because David came out to rehearse with us, I have all the multi-tracks here at the studio of both records, of both albums.
Cool. Yeah. So you
can
break
we're able
down
to
the parts.
Yeah, to actually listen to the discrete part. So on like Gutbug, which you played earlier, there's a bunch. It's kind of interesting. We realized Robert probably messed up on some of those chord progressions, but they work really well.
But whatever the mess up was is like part of the song, right?
Yeah, exactly. So I remember David, came to rehearsal a little earlier here at the studio, and he said, "Hey, can you bring up Gutbug? Because there's some things I think they're a little different than what you're playing." Because I would just play kind of like, well, what he played the first time around, I'm going to play it again, right, in the next verse or whatever that section was. And so we heard it, and it's like, oh yeah, it is different. So I try not to like, I try and do what I think, I play his parts, and you can't be, I know that I'm a replacement for someone else. So I try not to be like egotistical or like, well, I'm going to play it this way. It's like, no, I know exactly what my role is. Now, what I do that's different than the recordings, and I think this happened live too, is there's certain, like, let's say you have a variety of different riffs you can play. I've learned, for example, when David plays a higher melodic part, I go to the lower one. And when he plays the lower lines, I try and get out of his way and go to the higher. So I do change that around a little bit.
Give a little more tonal distinction to kind of
to give him space, to give him some room. And also there's songs where I turn down the gain a little bit to give him more space when he's doing a melody, which I don't think Robert would ever do. But,
the man with the HD 120 that was like, blasting out of
exactly.
probably would not have done that. Yes.
So, and I'm not talking like, all of a sudden it sounds like I'm playing out of a Fender Twin, but
no. But there is overpowering, even in quote unquote noise rock. There's still, loud and there's overpowering.
Especially when you're playing something really like Gutbug has some really like a little delicate melody that David plays, and I can't be blasting away like completely obliterating that little
Yeah,
you know,
you're gonna bury
thing.
you're gonna bury like this cool, like interesting hook that is kind of like the key to the song. And
Exactly.
know.
So that is something a little different that I try and do. And really, I mean, he and I, you know, can work together really well, David and I. So you know, when I joined the band and he was here and we were learning parts, it was very easy to take suggestions and everything. And like I said, also being a fan of the band, I always joke with the band that if we ever break up, I'll keep going as Eddie Rivas plays the songs of Distorted Pony.
Talk about a niche interest. That's awesome.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm just like, you know, it's like, if we ever stop, don't worry, guys, I'll keep it going.
Gotta keep it alive, man.
Yeah, keep it alive. But I know it's not that kind of band where it's like, you know, it's 5 people playing together, not one person, you know, like with this front man that's very charismatic or whatever, you know. But I think that's, you know, I really respect David's, right? I mean, he wrote probably, I'd say, I don't know, 80% of the music. And yeah, I really respect and like I said, what he did. So I try and, you know, like I said, keep it true to what I would think is my role and what people would want to hear. If I was in the audience, I know I wouldn't, it's not about some other person all of a sudden slapping their, you know, their thing all over it, you know.
You don't want to be the Scrappy Doo of Distorted Pony.
No, I don't, you know, yeah.
Did those other guys and gal change up their stuff at all as far as this? I mean, thinking about like when Distorted Pony was around the first time versus now, like the whole macro gear explosion and boutique everything is like, you know, it's a whole new world now.
Yes and no. Like, for example, back in the 80s, 90s, Trisha used to play, I have her cabinets here, not an 810, 410 and a 115 GK cab, but with a Sun head, I think maybe a Coliseum head.
Sure.
But that thing has since died. So she was using my GK 800 RB head. But her secret weapon, and people ask all the time, so if people can, she uses a Boss a half rack mount or third rack mount distortion unit.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah, that if she has that, no matter what she plugs into, she's gonna sound like Dora Jar. That's the secret weapon to Trisha. She's got the same bass, this modified Rickenbacker that got made fun of on the Rickenbacker page when I posted it because it has jazz pickups as opposed to the original Rickenbacker.
Yeah, that must sound terrible.
Yeah. People were like, "Oh, it's hilarious." Because I said, "What bass? What you know case should we get for this bass?" She needed a case, and it was hilarious. So anyway, so that's her secret sauce, is that one.
Whatever, they're dicks. Jazz pickups are great, and
they sound
like,
and they're active.
They sound amazing.
Hers are active, so you can be super loud and they don't buzz.
Yeah.
So no, she has a great tone. That bass is like a I don't know, a sledgehammer. I stand next to her, so I hear her like a bell.
Well, and it's just like certain other bass players I know that like it's a very distinctive bass sound. Yeah, it gets you right in the gut, and it's a huge part of what makes the band. So it's like that's got to be, if that's not there, the foundation of the house is not going to be strong. Yeah,
totally. I mean, and we've tried. What's the Rusty Box? We tried John Nunez's bass annex pedal. We tried something ram. Is it the battering ram? She's been through quite a few, and always she comes back to that little rack mount unit because that's her
whatever
sound.
Works. Whatever works the thing.
Yeah, and then let me think. David, he still plays his Soldano, and he plays his Telly. Although he didn't take the Telly with him to Europe, he just took his it's like a I don't know, kind of, we call it like the tar guitar because it has a metal cover on the front, you know, like
every time I see anybody with like a metal pickguard, I'm like, oh, it's a tar guitar.
Yeah, that's what the tar thing.
And
it's got a Telly bridge, I think.
I think those are specimens, if I remember correctly. I might be wrong about that, but yeah, they were the first band that I saw do that, so it's permanently etched in my mind. That's a tar guitar.
Yeah, so he still plays that. And and when we played in Texas, he had his telly, so he has his main setup. But I think, let's see, he doesn't use the reverb pedal that he used to use. He uses a little Zoom box or something like that now for this kind of weird reverb effect, I think. But the core of the sound, you know, the Soldano with the, and his thing is the telly, you know, I think something about that pickup.
You get that attack
on the bridge, you get that attack. And so that lets him, you know, stand out. So yeah, and then, you know, I don't know, London, what was he playing? He was playing I don't know. Now he has a Gretsch kit. I don't know what he had at the time. I know he still has the original Distorted Pony kit at home, but he now plays a Gretsch. He's like endorsed or something like that by Gretsch. So he has actually it's a really beautiful piano black. It's a nice, really nice kit. And then Ted. So if you can't, I've tried to find pictures of Ted's percussion setup, because at the time it was pretty elaborate. Like back
when I seen pictures, it almost looked kind of like a Smith from Babyland kind of.
Yeah,
I mean, in his own vein, not exactly the same thing, but in the way that it was like, oh, there's a lot going on there.
Yeah, I mean, he had these snares that were sandwiched, and he had this, I think, like some kind of jug, and he had a smaller oil drum. So all that's gone. I mean, when Distorted Pony first started playing and rehearsing, he brought a wok, like an outdoor grill wok.
Oh my god!
And by the time he was done with that thing, it was just like, it was destroyed. Eventually, and I didn't know this, but I guess it's kind of illegal to buy those like oil drums, the real ones, for some reason. I guess.
What? Really?
Yeah, he had a really hard time until some guy, he had to tell him, like, look, I'm a musician and I'm not going to do anything with this.
Yeah, this is like something that like 3 people will know about. One of them's Bob Burt. But
well, there you go. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So he had a really hard time getting somebody to sell him a real oil drum. But he's learned how to get quite a variety of sounds from that one, instrument, I guess we'd call it, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So he's kind of adapted just one oil drum to do all the things he used to do, and then he plays 2 floor toms. So I mean, there's been
insert a kids today don't understand sort of speech here about having to adapt because of safety standards for oil drums, I guess, EPA, or whatever,
EPA standards or whatever. Yeah.
Oh, damn EPA won't let us have fun. It's like,
I guess they don't want people putting bodies in those oil drums or toxic waste. I don't know. But he had a really hard time finding
Why not?
them. Yeah, exactly. So I mean, the core of the I guess, when I think of
actually, I think Bob Burt, when he was on, I think he talked about because he plays in John Spencer the Hitmakers.
Yeah.
Now, and they do some Pussy Galore songs and stuff, but I think he uses like a 2-chamber sync.
Okay.
It's like turned upside down. Yeah. And he's found that like those are easy enough to find, and they don't give you the business like you do if you're trying to look for something you could potentially put a body in, I guess.
I remember, so when we went to Europe, it was like, what are we going to do for Ted? Like, how's he going to get?
Yeah. How can he throw that in the bag check? Yeah, exactly.
The band, Connie Shorty, that we toured with, and hello to those guys. We really love and miss those guys. They went out of their way and first they found a little drum, and I was like, I don't know, guys, can you get maybe something a little bigger? And then I get a Facebook message with a picture of the full size, and they were so excited, like, look at what we found,
Yeah.
And so Ted was like, yeah, that'll do it, And what was cool about it is you could fit 2 drums into, they called it the condom. You could fit like the 2 floor toms into the condom.
Brilliant.
In the van, right? So it was actually, it was
because people don't think of the legit. Yeah, when you're thinking of like packing up a band, you generally don't think of the logistics of moving like large metal obelisks.
Yeah, exactly. Unless you're, Babyland or Bob Burt or Oiler.
Exactly.
Back in the day.
It's like there should be
Savage Republic. I guess they had metal percussion.
Savage Republic does. Yeah, I was gonna say there's a small support group of people that could have their own Facebook group or something that they can all bitch about the logistics of this. And you know what? They would all be great bands too. Well,
yeah, luckily it's not just an annoying sound, but actually been used in some cases very well in music. There was another band. What was that band Oh man,
Savage Republic's a good
Shark
pull.
Bait, where it was Shark Bait up from the Bay Area?
Oh,
Isn't that what they were
yeah.
called?
I think. I can't remember right now. Didn't Idiot Flesh do some of that stuff too?
I never saw them. I don't know them.
But most people only saw them when they kind of evolved, change into Sleepy Time Gorilla Museum, who are fantastic as well. But Idiot Flesh, I seem to recall. See, I don't have the excuse of being on drugs either. I just, this was a long time ago, and I was a kid.
Yeah.
So I before I started playing music, I didn't notice as much of this stuff, and I was like, "Oh wow, it's wild!" I was probably, truth told, be paying more attention to the naked women than anything else. But but
when you're a kid,
said,
that's something you pay attention to.
Exactly. Yeah, and maybe I didn't, but I want to say there was some junk percussion with Idiot Flesh. Anyway, I'll hear about it either way. I'm sure. Yeah,
somebody
from the listeners.
Yeah,
somebody will have seen it.
Set the record straight.
Exactly, dear sir.
Exactly. Yeah.
So anyway, so they get you the big drum, the condom, and then you can stack all the other stuff with it. So logistically, you're able to get from point A to point B with the stuff you need, which is great. I mean, that's sort of like
they're still holding. They said for the next time we go, so there is hope that we return. They've held on to that drum actually.
Oh, nice. So somebody's just like keeping that in a basement somewhere.
Somewhere. It's somewhere in Italy.
somewhere in Italy.
Yeah.
just waiting for the next tour when tours can start back up again.
Someday. Yeah.
Well, and so that's another thing. Is it kind of seems like you guys had sustainably planned some stuff for the rest of the year. It wasn't like that was the only thing that we were going to do. I didn't think it was the only thing I was going to do either. But
Yeah, I mean, sadly, right? I mean, especially none of us really make a living from playing, right? But I know, a lot of our friends do. And so that's who, it's going to be one of the things that I've been thinking is just like, we've already heard of like certain clubs in LA, like that's it, they're gone, like closing down. So I wonder when things open up again, what are like the smaller bands going to do to have venues? Because even the medium-sized bands are going to be packed into the smaller rooms and charging more, right? Yeah. So I've kind of wondered what's going to. I mean, my studio is, the tracking room's pretty. I could probably fit a good 30, 40 people. So I have thought like, well, maybe doing that, just helping out friends if they need a show, kind of thing.
Well, because I think that's going to be what the kind of thing that we have to have happen is that there's going to be like new independent spaces
exactly
kind of pick up the slack because like you said, there's going to be some mainstay venues are like already gone.
Yeah.
And that's not even to say of like with all this, I gotta be careful about going on a rant here, but I feel like there are certain people that are prolonging the situation selfishly, and Neva finally got some of the Save Our Stages stuff in on this last bout of relief. But I mean, that's holding the Reaper off. That's not like a curative. Like they need to be able to bring money in the door. And that's
there was an article, I haven't read it yet, but there was an article in the UK, right? They're saying in the UK there's going to be funding for some venues.
That's my understanding. So there may be a little ray of sunshine for for over there. Whereas over here, it's like
over here. Yeah, I don't.
Hey, here's. Remember when you got that $1,200 check? Well, here's a $600 check, and like we're gonna be kind of smug about it. It's like really why I don't, amazing. Like just
it's
again. I'm in severe danger of going off on a rant here, but like I mean,
I would probably agree with where you're headed with that.
It's not what people tune in for, and I think we all live with it so much that I don't think I need to necessarily.
Yeah.
But anyway, point of fact is that you had stuff planned. You had things that you were going to be doing.
We had a couple things like a desert show. We had we were thinking San Diego, an LA show, which we hadn't. I mean, we played here at the studio the weekend before we played in Texas. Just kind of friends and
kind of a warm-up show.
But really we haven't played here since 2010,
which is crazy because there's probably a whole new batch of fans that had never had the chance to see the band play. It's tough though, because even when we played in 2010 there was a show where I think there's just a lot of bands on the bill, so by the time we went on it had kind of thinned out, and it was like
I remember, and it was the kind of one of those shows where like, oh yeah, this is why sometimes bands break up, you know.
Right, because especially when you're dealing with a rock and roll endurance contest, we're like,
Yeah.
where are we on the bill?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I mean, my
again, not to get too inside baseball, but that wears
Yeah.
on you if that happens like night
Oh,
after
yeah.
night, and like when you have
yeah,
like
of
real,
course.
adult concerns to deal with, and
Yeah.
you're like, why am I putting all this effort into this thing if by the time we play, like everyone's that came to see us is already pieced out.
Well, yeah. I mean, although I don't want to say the name of the club because I don't want to hold them to this, but the at least the venue that we don't have a booking agent, but there was someone that asked us to play one show, and they said, "Hey, I can probably help you guys get a show in LA." So, so the venue, we were surprised. The venue that said they were really eager to have us play. It was like, really, that place wants us to have us play there, because it's just like
it wouldn't have been what you've expected, maybe.
Yeah, in the sense that, well, I mean, okay, so our bands were around, like Replicator and Leopold, so it wasn't always easy to get a show. So it was just this irony that like, oh, that place actually wants to pay us, like, okay, because at the time,
as you well know, Mr. T's Bowl versus looking at it now. As,
yeah.
I can't think of the name. I played there twice. I can't think of the name, but like where it's like
the Highland Park Bowl now.
Highland Park Bowl, which is fantastic. I'll praise the Highland Park Bowl, but it's very different. Isn't it?
I compare that place to what was that movie of the movie where Sacha Baron Cohen is in it, and it's about the filmmaker. It like when I walked into the Highland Park Bowl after not being it was like, welcome, and I expected curtains to part and somebody come down on a swinging platform. It was just
like Cirque du
wow,
Soleil style or something.
That's
like,
that's how it felt. Like, wow, what it was like this steampunk Art Deco industrial. I don't know.
I had to keep telling everyone that didn't know it from back in the day, including people that played with me. This was not what this looked like before. But luckily there was enough of some of us old heads that like we could at least commiserate amongst ourselves. Like, can you believe this? It's like, have you seen the loadout ramp? You're just kind of like, oh, this used to be a death trap, and now it's a place where you can have like adult fun, I guess, and gallivant around in a Wes Anderson looking playland. Okay, cool.
Yeah. And the food's good. I like the food.
It's great. And they couldn't have been kinder to us.
Good.
But
I haven't played there. I've only gone to see shows, but so far, I mean, from what I hear, I've had no complaints from my friends that have played there.
Well, anyway, yeah. So the point of fact is that like there's Los Angeles can just be an interesting place because even though there's a lot of venues, because there's so much of the industry there, that so much of it's even like stuff you wouldn't think would be industry oriented tends to kind of see dollar signs in their eyes about a lot of stuff, and it can be harder to put something forward that's almost art for art's sake, for lack of a better term. Is that where you're going with that?
And I just think so. Here's like, okay, the Unsane. We're gonna play a club. I won't say which because same reason. So they were gonna play, and so I got in touch with Chris, and then Chris or Vinny. Actually, I think it was Vinny, and they hit up their booking agent to have Leopold open for them.
Right.
And I just remember the booking agent putting of the club putting up so much like, well, this and that and resistance. Well, later on I find out, well, the booking agent, the opening spot, which we would have gotten, was actually taken by the booking agent's boyfriend's band. So that's the kind of shit where it's just like, oh, LA. I mean, I'm sure that's not exclusive to LA, but oh my God, it was like, because when even the Insane were like, yeah, we want Leopold to play with us,
Yeah.
And it was like, why is this dude being, or this person being so difficult about it? Like, just put us on the bill. But all of a sudden, they wanted to play like 50 questions, like how many people can we get? it was just like,
Right,
I've never been interviewed. I've never been interviewed. I thought I was calling to get logistical information, like what time we had to be there and blah, blah, blah.
Right.
But it was more like this job interview. And I just, and
Yeah,
then
like
later
you're going
I
in
find
Star
out,
Search or something.
yeah, like what is this? So that's the thing, about where, there's that's a very, in all fairness, it is an LA thing. But also that was not a underground seedy, it was one of the Hollywood places,
I mean, New York can be the same way, and even Chicago. There's usually at least one or two places not like that usually, and that are the jabberjaw of that place.
Yeah.
But there's, that happens. Even the Bay Area has had its.
I mean, I'm sure
run of that kind of thing. But I mean, it is something to overcome, and it's ridiculous too. It also makes you appreciate when somebody really does something for the love of it.
Yeah.
And, provides a home for bands that, without necessarily, not to say that people are just being altruistic about everything, but just like without the nonsense.
Yeah. I mean, and especially if they just think you're a good band and they don't care if other people think you're a good band. They just want to give you a shot to play,
Yeah. Like I remember being asked well, what kind, what, this is so bad. Like, what kind of band do you want to have open? I'm like, what do you mean? I was like, what kind of band do you want to have open? Well, you're more conservative, a band with a draw, and I was like, I like the band to be good.
Yeah.
is what
That'd
I said.
nice.
And they're like, oh, okay, great. I know exactly what to put on. It's like, oh, I didn't realize that we were okay. So, because the idea of like just cynically adding up, oh, this band has a lot of friends. So, I mean, and my understanding, like for that kind of thing, is usually like, well, yeah, but they'll watch their friend's band and then leave immediately or go hang out at the bar. So that, I mean, the fact that like, we'll come with a little more money, but if you can play with an awesome band that like, maybe they're awesome, but they can't tour and you will never see them again. For me, that's the point. One of the points of doing the thing, personally.
But the thing, I think now though, right? You've, been playing music long enough and touring long, and we all have friends now where if we want to go play, whatever, Chicago.
You want to play with the,
Yeah.
like your friend, like, what are they up to? What's their new band like? Let's check this out.
Exactly. So I think, but back before, you were at the mercy of whoever was the gatekeeper of the club,
whatever their ideas about whatever was, and maybe they were dead on, and maybe it worked out, and maybe it didn't. Who knows?
Yeah.
Who knew?
Yeah.
It was, again, not to turn this into like a book your own fucking life thing or anything along those lines, but
but it was like that.
But it was that way, yeah. And like you just had to like, trade voicemails.
Yeah.
All on the phone. I mean, can you imagine if like people had to like call on the phone to book stuff? I guess no one's booking anything right now, but when there's shows again, you would definitely separate the people that really love doing it and the people that are just in it because it's a thing. So, but anyway, that's neither here nor there. That is the most old man rant that I've old manned in a while. So sorry about that.
Geriatrics.
Yeah, exactly. So, but that is, it kind of brings up an important point with Disorder Pony, the fact that like you're gonna have like new fans, and maybe even, as I've termed it, like third wave noise rock people, of which both Leopold and Replicator were kind of in between.
Yeah,
those waves, and that's something I do want to discuss at a later time. But you end up with some people that are like more closer to your age that like know the band from way back when, and you have people that had never seen the band like in any way, shape, or form. Did you find that like just like the guy that had the epiphany and the revelatory experience of seeing Disordered Pony play finally, were people like receptive to you being kind of like the new kid rather than whatever, or did people even notice? Because it wasn't like they were an image forward band of like, oh, this is like,
I think because there's I think I was just in the band. I never got any sense of now. I think because Trisha and David sing, they're a little more in the front, so they tended to get more people approaching them, and then I'd be hanging out and go to the merch table, but people were really, everybody was really cool with me. I never got any sort of like you're the replacement guy attitude or whatever. If anything, some people said like, I'm glad you could play with them. Kind of like
acknowledging the role, but kind of still giving respect for putting in the work and not being a dick about it.
That's a band that some bands can function without the second guitar player, but Disordered Pony needs that role, or else the song
wouldn't be the same. Yeah.
wouldn't be the same. Yeah. It's, it's like having an orchestra without a whole section or whatever. But although I'll say this much, when we started rehearsing, since David was in Austin, I was sort of playing a hybrid of his parts and my parts. And that was one of the hardest things to unlearn when we finally started to,
because when you're practicing, sure, because you don't have the full band there.
So
right?
I would have to play the most important parts of every song. Sometimes it's a melody or a noisier part. Sometimes it's actually the rhythm guitar part. So it is. I guess it is kind of.
Would you sing the vocals too, or did you just kind of make do without the vocals?
There was a few where I would, or Trisha would sing the vocals.
Yeah.
Or at least cues,
Yeah, because you got to get the vocal cue for it switches when he does this. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So everybody was. I'll say this: Connie Shorty, the band we toured with, said to me I won't try and mimic an Italian accent, but you guys can imagine it, saying, "Eddie, you are the carpet.
Yeah.
You are the carpet of the band." So I'm the carpet.
Nice. The carpet of the band. Nice. That's awesome. That's
what they said. Eddie, you are the carpet. You are the carpet. Okay. Which I don't know if they mean, I guess maybe the floor or some, in translation, but I know I'm the carpet,
Yeah, exactly. You are the carpet. Just like how James Hetfield is the table.
The table, yeah.
I am the table. So when you got a band with a catalog like that, as we've established, is it means quite a bit to the people that it means something to. You can't play everything. Also, you kind of want to leave them wanting more. So how do you go through and pick that set list? And was that something were you approaching your input on that from the place of a fan or from logistics? How did all that come together?
Yeah, everybody just gave input on the songs they liked the most, and we figure an hour set, for a headlining, quote unquote, headlining band, right? And also I think being a band where we knew this was like a reunion kind of a tour. I mean, so it was like, we got to play a little of through the catalog throughout because we don't really have new stuff. So everybody sort of mentioned. Now, I think I want to say the only thing is we did take out one song at a certain point in Europe. I forget which song that was. But overall, we just basically said, let's come up with an hour or so set of the songs we like. So
was most of that, were those lists mostly the same as far as?
Yeah, we all kind of concurred, and there was some like their early stuff, which was the 7-inch and the Work Makes Freedom EP. Those were drum machines, on those.
Yeah.
So, and the tones actually are a bit different. So they become something else when we play them live. Some of those older, like the drum machine era songs. And so, for example, there's one song, I think, is it Angel on a Hog, where the Robert doesn't have a guitar part, but it felt really awkward for me to sing because Robert would sing on that song. So I would sing his part, but I had nothing. So basically, we did come up with this sort of implied melody that Trisha plays, and then I sort of actually play that. So the songs do change a little bit in that sense on the older stuff, the drum machine era stuff. But the rest was basically everybody saying, these are songs, this is a song I like, or, no, let's not do that one. And it was very.
There's also what works too, right? There's going to be like not everything's gonna hit the way you want to hit, and I thought that would be different in my head,
Yeah, like on Punishment Room, we don't play either of the. There's $1 pizza and 50-cent pizza. We don't play those. Yeah, so there was somewhere we just knew, like, the other thing is you kind of get the set, you want it to flow a certain way, and then you can go on some songs where it's just like, on the record it's fine, but live it just doesn't move things along, I guess.
Well, because you have to think about it in terms of presenting the band as a live experience too, not just a collection of songs.
But ultimately, the main thing was, do we like the song or do we not like the song? To work on it enough. Because the other thing is that's tough is like, we have very limited amounts of time to practice. So we knew we had to really commit to learning them and really focus in on them, because we didn't have time to spend a couple hours on a song and then realize, maybe we're not going to do that. It was like, no, we got to make sure So that was another concern. It was songs that we knew like we definitely wanted to play, you know. And so there's, you know, somewhere I was like, you know, pushed for some songs, and someone else would advocate, you know, or for another song. And everybody mostly, I think, I mean, there's some songs I remember, you know, someone say like, I'm fine playing this song, but I don't really like it or whatever, you know. But
Right.
you know, if 4 out of 5 people want to play it, you know, we'll play it.
You
know?
don't want to be the stick in the mud. But then also, like, luckily, Distorted Pony doesn't have like the flame or something, you know, just to use a cheap trick analogy, where it's like it's a hugely popular song. You're like, ugh, all right, guess
no,
we're
we
gonna
don't
do this one, huh?
So.
Yeah. Although I'd love to hear what a Distorted Pony version of what the flame would be.
What the flame would be. Yeah, I don't know what that. Yeah, you have to ask.
No
David.
idea. Yeah, I was gonna say
he's a big Who fan, so maybe a Who song. What's a long, ballady Who song? Because that's probably what he would pick.
Yeah, let me next one. I'll have to get back to it. I have to think about it, because even when thinking about Who singles, I'm like, no, that's a good one. That's a good one.
They all roll along.
You know, that one's. I mean, from like set list wise, as amazing as Bob O'Reilly is to play every night, if you were a band playing clubs, it would be probably a pain in the ass to be like, oh, we're playing that 8-minute song, huh?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, we'd have to figure out the synthesizer too.
Right, exactly. Yeah. Logistically, it's well, I'm sure they, you know, whatever. There's entire teams of people to, you know, set up to get that going.
Yeah.
At this point for the Daltrey and Townsend show, but anyway, that's neither here nor there. We're not talking about that. We're talking about Distorted Pony.
The set list.
So and so that's something where, well, and the reason why I bring that up is I thought that, you know, when I saw Guys Play, I was like, oh, that's a good like representation of everything, you know, for lack of a better term. You played the hits too, and it's like it seemed like there was a good balance to that, and that can be kind of hard to pull off. Like to sort of
I mean, I think we tried to not play any of the songs where it was like people didn't even remember the names of them, you know, like nobody was like, what about that one song, you know, it's like it wouldn't even be mentioned in, you know. It was like,
the ones
no,
that goes like do.
And actually, and then we just kind of, when we played with you guys, we played pretty much, I think, the same set we played on the European tour with just a few
variations,
switches, a few variations on that, but overall we kind of, you know, it was interesting because especially after that European tour, by the time it finished, I mean, you play 14 shows, you know, you start to, there were times we'd play a song and later, you know, the set would go by and I'm like, it was the automaticity sort of it, you know, would be like,
right.
We played that one already.
Did we play that one? Yeah, exactly.
We played that one. Yeah.
You're just in the zone.
I'd look down at the set list and oh yeah, we did that one, you know.
Right.
Yeah, and especially the begin, you know, we did have a definite like come in really hard, you know, and then, you know, then you get your like slow leak and gut bugs, which are kind of a little bit of, you get some breath with some introduction, like a longer intro as opposed to just everybody coming in very tight and in your face. So we tried to, you know, work with that and stuff, you know. So, you know, and we tried different things in rehearsal to you know, figure out the flow of the list and move things around. But mainly, you know, in terms of picking the songs, it was, you know, everybody pulls out their iPhone, right, and has all the
has all their specific notes,
or just, you know, we could, you know, listen to the song. No, let's not do that one, or I mean, right. I'll say the tough ones to really, I mean, there were a few like Angel on the Hog and what's the other one? There's one off of, not Fee Schedule, but there's one off of Work Makes Freedom that it wasn't until the very last rehearsal where we were like, okay, we finally feel comfortable enough playing this one live, you know?
Right.
I mean, it's really, one of the things is it's really interesting, you know, as of just being into the band, a fan, like to see how that band evolved from the drum machine kind of era to Punishment Room, which was all written with a drum machine in mind, but London joined, I want to say about a month before Albini came out.
Was it really? Was it that soon? Okay.
Oh yeah,
it has a very motoric kind of feel to a lot of the songs, even though they're a lot of drums.
Fast, and you know, so he basically learned those songs in a few weeks, and then Albini was recorded, flew out here to record at their house.
Yeah.
And then once they had London in the band, and then David had been listening to more like shoegazy kind of My Bloody Valentine sort of stuff. Punishment Room, the songs are pretty short and fast, and but Instant Winner has really long. So I mean, it's kind of you get with really long intros and very much more I think orchestrated a bit, if for lack of a better term. So that's what's always kind of impressed me, just to how that band evolved from its earlier style to eventually what it became. And I think the cool thing about it though is that when we play those songs, it doesn't sound like, oh, that's an old song, that's a new song. It's just still very much the feel of the band is still there.
It all fits together in a way that kind of hits to the larger whole. So I do want to, we've mentioned Leopold like mostly in passing and in relation to Distorted Pony. I mean, that is how I know you, and I feel like that Leopold was. I reflexively went to was. I don't know why. I don't know what the current state of the band is.
Yeah, it's
what's the state of any band right now?
I guess everybody's in the same boat. I guess we're all any band, right? Yeah, I mean, we're not a functioning band. We got together, so that band existed from 1996 to about 2006 or 7, I want to say.
Right, and that's and it was kind of between waves of a certain kind of music. Again, this is a topic near and dear to my heart because of obvious reasons, as we've talked about. That my band at the time was in the same boat of like, all of that, halcyon days of everybody playing the same club and hanging out, like that's mostly gone at this point. It's sort of like now, like, well, where can we play? Where can we find a place? And I guess what I'm driving at is, as someone that sort of devoted your life to this kind of art, did you ever think it would kind of have this resurgence in the way that it has? And what did you learn operating with Leopold during that time that you think you've carried forward to today, and what perspective has that given to you?
Oh, wow. I've always felt that eventually good bands, not to say, obviously I think Leopold is a good band, but I think in terms of like the kind of like what we've coined as noise rock, right? I knew eventually people would catch on to that, just like eventually people caught on to the Stooges, just like eventually people, at what number of people would, I don't know. It certainly hasn't. But I'll say, the Jesus Lizard can get back together, right, and play really, some good
bigger shows than they played when they were around in some cases. Yeah.
So I think that's all great. I think that, I mean, Leopold. So Leopold was the kind of band that we didn't tour. We couldn't tour a lot because we were all working and going to school. So that was really hard because it was just, to get the time to do. We did do one tour in 97. We did a Southwest tour. And then the big thing that happened that I think really kind of set us back was we had recorded our album. Our drummer, George Sang at the time, was a recording engineer. So we recorded the album onto, he had a setup at home, like ADATs, I want to say. And then that was in the summer. And then he went on vacation with his family or something, with his folks. Well, while on vacation, someone broke into his house, stole all the gear, stole all the tapes. So that set us back, I don't know how long, because we recorded that probably in 98 or 99. And,
that's
that would have been,
man.
So that really set us back a lot. And then, the only thing we had out for years was our 7-inch that came out in 97. So that set us back. And then our drummer quit in 2000 or 2001. And that set us back for about 8 or 9 months. Then Chris joined, and we recorded our record with Alex Newport.
Mighty Alex Newport.
Yes, yeah, who I still stay in touch with and love dearly. And I heard him on your show. Yeah, so and I'm at the studio, and he just lives down the street, actually. So we got in touch with him. Chris recorded the record. We were planning on touring, and then he got like a really like life-changing type of promotion at his job.
Yeah.
And it was just like, you know, I can't blame him for saying he can't tour, because, you know, it was one of those like, you're not going to get this chance again kind of thing.
Right.
And at that point, we're already in our 30s, you know, so it's kind of,
it's harder to drop everything
someone.
and go,
Yeah.
hey, do you want to go go travel the country for 6 weeks, make no money whatsoever,
Exactly.
and have a miserable time at least 30% of the time?
Yeah. And
or do you want to like this? Yeah. Or do you
career.
want to like take a shot at the brass ring in another way?
Yeah. So those were the kind of the things that I think, you know, kind of set us back a bit. The other thing was, because we were all in school or working, I mean, we weren't kind of like a hangout after the show and go party type band either, you know?
Right. Yeah.
Just
So since
wasn't
you're
like
not being
that.
social in that way.
Yeah. And as much as,
yeah,
you know, we want to say, oh, the music is the most, there are certain bands that can, you know, if they're really good at networking and socializing and doing that kind of stuff. And that leads to them, you know, going on tour with somebody or getting on a label or whatever. You know, we just weren't kind of paying attention to those sorts of things too much. And I mean, not that obviously I have friends from that time, you know.
But there's a different kind of social experience that, that comes from that when it's sort of like, oh, you know, some people would say it makes a scene, but yeah, some people it is like, especially, you know, you told the story earlier about the getting the 20 questions drill from the booker,
job
right?
interview to play a show. Yeah.
And if you're buddies with the booker, then, you know, maybe you don't get that.
Yeah.
And that's, you know, it'd be nice if that wasn't the case.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason I bring it up too is because I always felt, you know, as you well know, that I thought Leopold was a very interesting band. It was one of those things like, oh yeah, we're playing LA. Let's see if those guys are around to play. That'd be awesome.
Yeah.
And
well,
there's nothing wrong with being that band of that place at all.
Mm-hmm.
But it does sort of, you're not playing Europe, you know?
Yeah, no. And but the other thing, so I, like you're saying, what did I learn? Well, one of the things here is, I remember, and I would always try and help. I mean, to this day, I try and, no matter if it's whatever, you know, someone asks you for help, you know, you lend a hand if you can, you know, and very much so when it came to bands. But the one thing where it blew my mind was, a band called me that was going to go on tour, and they got my number from another band that we had helped years before, but were like a bigger band at this point. And they said that band gave them my number to help them get a show. And I said, well, they got a lot more pull than anything I can do. Right. Why they gave you my number, you know? I'm like,
why didn't they just do it? Yeah.
Why don't you guys just, you know? And I did. I helped them get a show and everything. I think at that point, maybe it was during that hiatus time when Leopold wasn't playing. We didn't have a drummer. But I just remember going like, wait, here's a band that can help out their friends, and instead of helping out their friends, they give them my number instead of like, I know they could easily book a show for them and do everything. Right.
Right.
So yeah, and then those kinds of things always kind of blew my mind. And the other thing too is there's a difference, I think, between a scene and actual real friendships, you know? And I think that's the one thing that I've seen that, you know, the reason the studio is open is because of those people I met, you know, 20 something years ago, and establish a friendship with them and a connection and a reputation as being, you know, hopefully, right, reliable, trustworthy, all the things you want, you know.
One would hope, yeah,
one would hope.
And of course, we're talking about Total Annihilation Studios.
Oh yeah, that's the name
which we should. I always have to remember to like mention the name. Not everybody knows everything about everything.
Yeah. So, and I'm still so Leopold got back together to play twice in the last couple years. In 2019, we played when Connie Shorty from the band that Distorted Pony toured with in Europe. They came to LA to record here, and Distorted Pony was going to play the show with them, but we couldn't. So I hit up the guys in Leopold. I said, "Hey, my friends from Italy,
Yeah, why not?
Want to play?
Yeah.
Let's play." And then I think a bit prior to that was when Chris Stein, the bass player from Saccharine Trust, passed away, and they had some memorial shows for him. And so I called up Dave Travis, who ran a club here in LA called Cafe Nella, which was sort of like the Mr. T's locals and regulars that they kind of migrated there, right?
Right.
So so we got back together to play specifically that show. Like, I had not asked the guys to play in I think, I don't know, 17 years or something. It'd been a long time. But I felt like if there's ever a reason for Leopold to get back together, it's to pay
that's a
homage
good reason.
to Chris Stein, who, well, you can see my mixing board. His picture's on my board right there.
It's a beautiful mixing board, and it's a beautiful, touching tribute.
He was a really good friend, and I miss him to this day. And every time I walk in the studio, I remember him. And so I felt like if there's ever a time to ask the guys to play, this would be it, you know. So we played that gig. It was with who was on that bill? I think Brady and Jackass, Mike Watt.
Yeah, I was gonna say what was on it. I remember. God, there was some kind of.
It was a whole weekend of shows.
Right.
So now the crazy thing, I'll say this, is we played that show, and then we played with Connie Shorty, and the locals, you know, like I said, the regulars came up and they were like, "Wow, we didn't realize how much we miss Leopold." Until, you know, after all these years, it was like, yeah, and it was one of like those things, like people were like, "Oh shit, yeah," you know. So that was cool.
We were a band.
Yeah, we were a band. Yeah, and we played a lot, and we helped other bands, and you know, had a really good time. And so
the Mormons played that. I totally forgot about those guys.
Yeah, the Mormons. Yeah. I mean, those guys I've known since then. You know, they've recorded here too. You know, but like I'm saying, so those relationships with people and really friendships. I mean, I've gone to people's that I met back then, like Brady and Jackass. That was a group of people that, like, there was quite a few, Brady and Jackass, Guns, Books, and Tools, Front BC. So we played a show with them with 400 Blows at the Martini Lounge in '97. And so Brian, who was also the drummer in Saccharine Trust, came up to me and said, you know, "I really like your band. We should play more." And that was '97. And I'm still friends with those people to this day. And I work on their records, and I've gone to their weddings, and I've gone to, some of their kids' birthday parties, like Vince from the
community.
Mormons.
It's a community.
So that to me is I think the really cool thing. Besides playing the shows and all that stuff, I'm really grateful for the friendships that
being in each other's lives, like having like an earnest connection in that way.
Yeah. And so those things I'm really, really grateful for, and I really think. Leopold didn't ever become a big band or whatever, but I have some, great friends. I mean, Dan from Babyland, now continues, was recording here before this whole thing happened. You know, I who would have thought, I was going to be
before the Troubles.
Yeah, before the Troubles. But they asked Leopold to play our first show. So the fact that here's Dan sitting in my studio and I'm recording his current music. It's a really cool feeling that those relationships and friendships, and also now he's willing to, pay me money and trust me to record his music. Those are the things that I really am grateful for, that Leopold facilitated. We didn't get to do big tours and we didn't get to blah, 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 but I have really great friendships that I'm very much appreciative of, and I love those people. They're good people that I'm very grateful to have in my life.
Well, and there's something to be said. Oh, go ahead, sorry.
But even same thing, the Distorted Pony. I mean, Trisha and I are very close. We talk, almost every week or two. you know, Ted and I talk every so often. I tend to call David, but you always go to his voicemail and he gets back to you like 2 weeks later, you know. You know, and you know, working on this the bootleg whatever release, you know, we all had to you know give our 2 cents on how the artwork's going to look, and you know what are we going to do for this and that. So you know, I really enjoy, you know, these people that, you know, I mean, we've known each other now. I don't know when did we play those shows? You know, 20 years ago.
It has to be about 20 years ago at this point,
right?
Yeah, which blows my mind. That's
it's crazy to look back.
Blink of an eye, it's gone.
yeah, you know. But I'm 47, and
we almost. I don't know if I told you this at the time, but talk about this being a niche interest. But when we played with you at No Coast, I considered we play a Replicator song now and again if we think there's someone around that might care about it, and we almost put that in the set. But I was like, you know what? We're playing like a half-hour set. There's a million bands. Like, I'm not going to ask for special dispensation to basically do an in-joke for one dude.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Because it's like if we're playing with a crowd where it's like, oh, this is a band that I know from way back when. I'll sometimes drag that out, and that's a nice thing for like, you know, for those people. And I'm always kind of surprised when it's like kids find it and they're like, hey, you played that Replicator song. I'm like, you know that band? Like, how do you know that band?
Yeah,
but it's the internet, you know.
It's odd, whatever. Yeah. I mean, it's been...
Which is that's a story about how I didn't play a song for you, by the way.
Thanks for not playing that for me. Yeah, there you go. But, you know, I'm sure, I mean, it is, I think, and part of it is via Distorted Pony. I'll get the occasional email like, hey, do you have any Leopold CDs? I'm like, yeah, I've got, you know, like I said, 400 left in my...
Yeah. How many dozens do you want?
Actually, honestly, it's probably down to 250 now, but nonetheless.
Yeah, there you go. So 5 more years and you'll be down to the hundreds. Yeah,
there you go. I can use them for like to prop up my car.
I keep waiting for the CD revival, but doesn't seem to be happening. But
yeah, not yet. If cassettes came back, CDs
like
right?
Yeah, because you know the cassette revival. I don't want to sound just like a grumpy Gus about stuff, but that blows my mind. And I'm like, yeah, that's the format. Okay. Sure, whatever. I mean, they're cheap. Okay, I get it.
Yeah, I get it, but I don't get it. That one,
I get it.
It's like the 8-track. Is the 8-track going to come back? I don't.
Yeah, exactly.
Vinyl, I totally get. You know.
No, vinyl, I totally get. Absolutely, vinyl makes sense. I wish it'd come back sooner, even. You know, but yeah, I don't get. Anyway, sorry to take off track, but yeah, the idea is like, it's community, right?
Yeah, and via you know, Distorted Pony, people have reached out. Like, I guess they'll hear about me through Distorted Pony and ask, do you have any Leopolds? And now the cool thing though is, I'll say this, when the record came out, I sent like CDs to Steel Pole Bathtub, to the Unsane guys, to other people, and all those people responded very positively. So that was really cool. To at least I could like, you know, which is the great thing about recorded music, you can like share it with somebody, right? I mean, so
Pete Townsend's probably not going to write back. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. He's still, I don't think he even had the CD player.
He's still busy dicking around with synths.
Yeah, there you go.
Trying to recreate Bob O'Reilly.
Bob O'Reilly, yeah. Nice way to bring that around for me.
Well, I love that. If you've ever seen that behind the music, I love that he basically locked himself in like a room for like 3 weeks and was just dicking around with synths trying to get that. And the guys were like, "Can we just write some songs?"
Oh, wow, yeah.
Like, is that a thing that we can do? We're a band, right? Can we write some songs?
Yeah.
Can we play some songs? But when he came up with his genius, it's great.
Yeah, I guess it was worth it, right? Yeah, drove everybody.
And it was going to be a musical, and it was going to be not even concert record. It's like there's going to be a musical element to it, and they're like, why don't we just like take what we have and make a record, man? And it's like, okay.
Yeah. I mean, they did come out with a pretty great. You know, when all was said and done.
It's all said and done. Like, whatever. I can sit here and mock
everybody in your band hates you now, but all right, yeah.
Like, you know, it's a timeless song. I think it worked out okay for him. You know, even though he was just dicking around with patch bays for 3 weeks.
Yeah. But
sorry, so that was a story about Pete Townsend dicking around with synths. Go ahead.
There we go. Yeah. And songs you didn't play from. No, but yeah, and I think, but you know, I think like, look, I think that's kind of, it's been, not everybody gets to do something. Like, I got to join one of my favorite bands. you've gotten to play in bands with people that were in bands you admired, you know. Not everybody gets to do that sort of stuff, you know. There is something really cool about this, you know, and it's a small, I mean, you know, it's very like the noise rock kind of, that's sort of the term we give it, but it is pretty.
I feel like the eye roll is always implied by someone of our age, where it's
Yeah,
like, fine, okay, that's what it is, sure.
Yeah, I mean, it's just an easy term that, you know, when you
we
say
all know
that,
what it means. Yeah, exactly.
It means. Yeah, we know what it means, right? But I mean, it's like my brother loves basketball, but he'll never get to play with the Lakers, right?
Right.
You know, that kind of thing. So I equate my experience, and then I think being in Leopold also, the guys in Distorted Pony, you know, the people in that band knew, well, yeah, Eddie knows how to be in a band. He knows how to play his guitar. He knows how to, you know, do what we need him to do, right? So in that sense, you know, and a lot of other things, but like I said, it's, I mean, Leopold was sort of the like initially the goal was, I want to get a band that can play with these other bands I love. Those bands went away, we stuck around, but that didn't diminish from, you know, the things I do enjoy about having that band. And, you know, like I said, even like I'm friends with Alex, you know, who recorded our record, and had very personal, you know, and close conversations with him. And, you know, that when he needs a microphone, he knows, hey, he can call me up and borrow. You know,
right,
like,
yeah, exactly.
You know, and he was very
Some people
encouraging,
borrow
actually.
a cup of sugar.
Yeah,
some people
right.
borrow microphones.
And I remember he actually, that experience too, just to give thanks to Alex, when I had been kind of dabbling with recording. I wasn't very serious. It was just kind of like our drummer had left the band, who was a recording engineer, and then I kind of was by default, because nobody else was going to do it, got a 4-track and started to learn, right? And when we were making our record, you know, I would ask Alex a few questions about things he was doing. And he said, do you plan on working in a studio? And I said, why? And he said, well, you're asking all the right questions. Right. And that stuck with me. And you know, it was a few years, it was maybe another 3 years where I really started to take it seriously. And, you know, and now I have an actual professional recording studio and have made records with so many of my friends and other people too. So I look at it that way, right? I mean, it's just like Leopold is just a part of the, I don't know, the journey or whatever you want to call it, right?
Yeah, part of the spectrum.
Yeah, I mean, you being in Replicator, that allowed you to then, the avenue, right? The vehicle by which you met so many other people.
That's how I met Dale. That's how I met Vern.
Yeah.
That's how, exactly.
Exactly.
So, it's all connected.
Yeah. So I think now it's cool when people, you know, acknowledge or give props to Leopold too. You know, I mean, yeah, every so often I'll get a random email. You know, I heard your thing on YouTube. You know, do you have any actual, you know, physical copies of stuff? You know, and you know, and I've had two people that were friends of mine said they started bands because they saw Leopold. So that's pretty cool
awesome.
too.
Yeah,
you know,
that's great. That is cool.
Yeah, say that. You know, one wanted actually to be the singer, and we're not that kind of band. You know, we had a singer, this guy Chuck, for a short while, but then we're like, yeah, we're done with that. But eventually he had seen my band, we became friends, and he said that's what inspired him to start a band. You know, I've had people say that. So those things are really great, you know. And you know, like I said, to be able to maintain, you know, and have friendships. I mean, I'm assuming that I'll have probably my entire life, you know, based off of that band, you know.
Well, you kind of interrupted my flow here, because you're sort of answering the last question that I asked people, which is why do you do what you do?
Yeah.
But why do you do what you do, Eddie?
I think my life would be really boring if I didn't do the stuff I do. And I think that it's been the vehicle, like I said, by which I've met so many cool people. You know, I hope that everybody has something in their life that allows them to connect to other people and have, you know, good friendships and stuff. But yeah, I think, like I said, I think music, if it wasn't for music, I don't know how I would have made friends. I don't know. I mean, skateboarding, maybe. because I was a skater kid. But music is how I've made friends. It's influenced my philosophy about life. It's, you know, and without it, like I said, I think I just have a really boring life. I don't know what I'd do with my time if it wasn't for, you know, getting to play, I mean, during this whole pandemic, there was a time I didn't step into my studio from April all the way till, I want to say, gosh, maybe August or something, maybe September.
Wow.
I literally just did not want to come here because I kind of got used to being in, you know, at home in the cell, right? You know, like we all were. And
Yeah.
I was just like, okay. And then coming back, and actually, I didn't have besides of one mixing gig I didn't have any tracking till about a month ago. I did my friend Erika from a band called El Harukaroi came in just to do vocals and guitar and mix. So I was like, okay, I feel comfortable with one person. And then last week, 2 weeks ago, the guys in Fatso Jets and Tony came in to do some drums. And same thing, I was like, okay, one person, not, you know, 4 or 5 people.
Breathing each other's and licking each other's faces.
It's tough. This whole thing is just like, you know, people that don't have symptoms but have the virus. It's terrible, you know. But it does make me coming back here. It does make me miss interacting with the people that I interact with here, and the, you know, and just going the process. I miss being with people, you know, doing the recording thing, you know. Yeah, it's I mean, if anything, right, this whole thing I think does make you take inventory of how many times, like, I told a friend, oh, I'll go to your show, or, you know, oh, I'll see you here, and then you can't, you know, it like makes you really appreciate those opportunities that we should probably take advantage of, you know, to interact with our friends and be social and engage with people, you know.
Making excuses to do something rather than to not do something.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, I think to answer your question, I think my life would be really boring if I didn't have, you know, and by music I mean the whole thing, right? From like learning how to playing an instrument, playing in a band, putting together shows, putting out records, recording, but mainly engaging with people. You know, if the people that I was having to deal with I didn't like, I wouldn't be doing this thing, you know. But I really like the people I get to work with, the friendships I've made, the experiences I've had, you know. 99.9% of them have been just really cool, really fun, you know. Yeah.
Well, speaking of really fun, this has been really fun as well. Thanks so much for doing it, Eddie. I really appreciate having you.
Thank you for having me, you know. Hopefully we'll get to play a show together again soon.
It'll happen again.
It'll happen again. I hope so.
Stay safe out there, brother.
You too. Thank you, man.
All right. Oh, and there he goes. Let's hear.
Oh, and there he goes. Let's hear a tune.
Christmas lights and houses
Death in the Turnstile, Distorted Pony. That's Eddie. That's Eddie and the crew. Eddie Rivas. Hey, that was great. Love that dude. I should have played some Leopold. I didn't think about that. Well, you can listen to Leopold too. Good luck searching for him. There's a million. That's what I forgot to ask him. There's like a bunch of new artists also called Leopold. So that's rough. That's a 90s band problems, I guess. Anyway, thanks for listening to yet another episode of Conan Neutron's Protonic Reversal. Always appreciated. Thank you so much. EddieRivas.com. You can find Total Annihilation Studios. Go. Highly recommended the distortedpony.blogspot.com. It's pretty interesting. Even though most of it's, I think he hasn't updated in a couple of years, but it's great. And it deserves more than the 9 followers. Come on. Super interesting. Oh, one of them's not me, though. I don't even know if I have a blogger account anymore. I'd like to thank Eddie for being on the show. He's awesome. Leopold's awesome. Distorted Pony's awesome. Total Annihilation's awesome. Just awesome guy. And really had a blast hanging out with him. Yeah.
Signing off. Mr. and Mrs. America, all the ships at sea.
The name of the show is Conan Neutron's Protonic Reversal. It airs on Radio Nope, radionope.com, live. Podcasted later everywhere, protonicreversal.com.
50,000 watts of power.
Patreon.com/protonicreversal to get the episodes sooner. $1 a month will get you there.
Ionize the air.
No ads, no sponsors, no kidding. Yeah, got a bunch more shows this week. Thanks for hanging in there with me. Thanks for listening. Thanks for listening, really.
Into electricity.
Stay safe out there.
Can you hear me now?
And as always,
Out on Route 128, you're dark and lonely.
take it easy.
You got my radio on. Can you hear me now? 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 See the radio. And that snare drum and that drum roll means we've got a winner. If you're the fifth caller, or any caller at all, welcome to my top 10. I'd like to thank our sponsor. But we haven't got a sponsor. Not if you were the last man on earth. She was prepared to prove it. This one goes out to a special girl. But there is no special girl. It's the end of radio. The last announcer plays the last record. The last what? Leaves the transmitter. circles the globe in search of a listener. Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now? Is it really broadcasting if there's no one there to receive? It's the end of radio. As we come to the close of our broadcast day, got my radio on. Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now? This is a test! If this had been a real emergency,